If you love soft and chewy cookie bars with big notes of brown sugar, vanilla, and white chocolate, then this Blondie recipe is for you. Hey, you're watching Preppy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes to share with your family and friends. These blondies will be ready in a snap, so let's get started. First off, I'm prepping a 9x9" baking dish with parchment paper. It makes it so easy to clean up, get it out. There's no fuss, no muss. Give your parchment paper 4 snips on the corners, and then you can fold up. Seems random, but I've gotten a ton of requests asking me to show how I line baking dishes. So this is for you. Fold up the edges, and now it should just float in, basically. In you go. Okay, this is all prepped and ready to go. I'm gonna set it aside, and now it's on for the dry ingredients. Into a medium bowl, I'm adding 2.5 cups or 300 grams of all-purpose flour. There's a measuring cup in here, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it work. Second time that's happened. Really want to encourage you not to add too much flour. If you've ever had dry or bready baked goods come out and you're like, I followed this recipe to a T, what is happening here? It's probably because you added too much flour just by accident during this measuring process. So important. Okay, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. When you use cornstarch in a baked goods, it can make things just a little bit more delicate and like melt in your mouth. 1 full teaspoon of salt. Kind of seems like a lot, but this is almost like a salted caramel brownie, except it's called a blondie. So it has white chocolate chips, but a lot of brown sugar, which gives you that caramel flavor. And when you have all that sweetness, you want to balance it with salt too. For leavening, I'm using 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And in case you're wondering, the acid that's in the brown sugar will react with the baking soda for the leavening. Give this a quick whisk and set it aside. Scale's done too. Now time for the butter. In a large bowl, melt 3/4 cup or 170 grams of butter. I'm using unsalted butter, but if you only have salted butter at home, just use 1/2 teaspoon of salt in the dry ingredients. Halve the salt. To the sugar, I'm adding 1 packed cup or 200 grams of light brown sugar. This is the main flavor of your blondie. It's that caramely brown sugar, amazing taste. Brown sugar and butter are the business. 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1 and 2, and you go. So you could definitely use an electric hand mixer for this part, but I am going with a whisk. So just break it up, and you're gonna mix it into a delicious slurry. Just make sure you're breaking up all that brown sugar. Sometimes it can have a lump in there. Okay, that's what we end up with. That's what you want. Now it's time to add our remaining wet ingredients. The other predominant flavor we have, of course, is vanilla. So if possible, use a nice quality vanilla for this. And I'm using 1 tablespoon or 15 ml. That's a lot. Finally, 2 room temperature eggs. So 1, in you go. And now you are gonna whisk, whisk, whisk it up until it is really like very smooth. You're trying to dissolve some of the sugars in this step. So on your marks, get set, go. And whisk, 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 whisk. If you have a few lumps of brown sugar in there, it will be okay. They're basically like the sugar version of a white chocolate chip. Dump that dry mixture in, gracefully if possible. Oof, cloud. And now you're gonna mix this until almost combined. This will be like a really soft, fudgy batter, but instead of chocolate, it is like almost like a butterscotch taste to it. Speaking of which, I'm using white chocolate chips in this recipe, but you could add walnuts or pecans, macadamia nuts, and if you don't like white chocolate chips, toffee chips? Butterscotch chips. This is really close to coming together now. All right, I still have some lumps of flour left in there, but it's okay because I'm gonna fold in those white chocolate chips. So, you'll keep mixing it and you're not gonna overmix it. So here I have about 1 cup of white chocolate chips, and I'm just gonna reserve a handful of them for later, at the very end. These can get dumped in. Now, fold those chocolate chips in. I usually pile my measuring cups with chocolate chips or nuts because I love them so much, but for this recipe, I used almost closer to 3/4 cup of the white chocolate chips. So it was like a stingy cup, just because this is really rich and it doesn't need an abundance of white chocolate, just the right hit. We're gonna transfer this into our prepared baking dish now. These are still set aside. Transfer your mixture to your prepared baking dish. Plop. Okay, spread it out to the edges. It will self-level a bit, but it's always a good idea to give it as much of a head start as possible, especially because you don't want the center to take too long to bake. These are gonna be a little bit underdone when you take them out. It's kind of like a fudgy brownie. So you're not gonna have it be like a solid baked cookie bar. It's gonna be a little gooey, which is amazing. Once everything's all spread out, just sprinkle with some white chocolate chips, just like you would with a regular cookie. And one of my favorite things about the white chocolate chips here is as you bake them, they actually caramelize and they become a little bit less sweet and take on like a deeper flavor. It's actually pretty nice. Bink, bink. All right, into the oven, 350 Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes. On the lower end, they'll be like a little bit underdone and fudgy in the middle. And on the upper end, they'll be more fully done and cookie-like. My blondies baked for 35 minutes and I set them aside, hard as it may be, to not touch them and just let them cool, because I want to remove them from my pan without them collapsing. Okay, see, like, wasn't that easy? Parchment paper is such a godsend. Now, nice sharp knife, if you want to know how to cut these without mangling them, would be to use a sharp knife and kind of score the top a bit. Then you can press down. Perfect, that's what you want to see. All right, continue scoring and cutting. These smell divine, and I hope you get a chance to make these, but before I take a bite, if you like this recipe, check out my dessert bar playlist. Everything from lemon bars to brownies that'll delight your senses, and they're so easy to make too. Now it's time for a bite. That is so good. Chewy, brown sugar, white chocolate, vanilla, just amazing cookie bar realness. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe. If you like my videos, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next dessert bar video.